What's up, troopers? Welcome to the Trooper Transmission. This is CT 3939, and today I'm starting a brand new series. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time now, and I'm excited to break down the inspiring messages at the beginning of every single Clone Wars episode. And there's a few reasons that I want to do this. One, because the Clone Wars is my favorite Star Wars media. Two, because this is a Star Wars themed fitness channel, I think it's important to look at the mindset and the non visible, non-physical traits that lead to someone making the changes that they want to see. And I think there's a lot of lessons in personal development in these messages, in these episodes. And if you can take something that you already love and apply that to things that will improve your actual life, your fitness, your health, how you move about the world, and just creating a better life, I see no better win, because you're tapping into that alter ego, which is something that I'm really big on this channel. Every time I put on the helmet, it's what would Captain Rex do? What would Boba Fett do? What would Mando do? And so if you can kind of look at these, lessons through the characters that we see going through the hero's journey, I think that there's a lot of value that you can extract from that. And also, some point I'm going to have a kid pretty soon, down the road in my future with my wife, and I kind of want this to be a catalog that 50 years from now he can go through and look and see lessons that his dad learns and learn from him, kind of the same way Luke might have learned from his father, or maybe maybe not Darth Vader, but I think the bond of father son in Star Wars is also a very big theme. And so that's kind of the inspiration behind this. I want him to be able to go back, my grandkids to be able to go back and be like, what was Paul Klingon like? And they'll be able to watch these. And so a little bit longer intro. I won't do this for every single one, but today I want to break down the first episode of the Clone Wars, episode 1, season 1, uh, the ambush. And the opening title was Great Leaders Inspire Greatness in Others. And so I'm not going to do a background on every single deep dive lore on every single episode. But in this one, Jedi Master Yoda is on a secret mission to forge a treaty with the king of Toydaria, and his ship's ambushed by Count Dooku. And so him and 3 clone troopers, I think Thyre, Jek is another one. He ended up being retconned in Revenge of the Sith as the guy next to Gree lost his head, sadly. Say that like Palpatine. But essentially they fight against Ventress, and they want to show that the Jedi are strong enough to protect the king. And so there's really 3 themes that I take away from one, the episode, 2, the actual quote. And a question that I get a lot of times is, how can I get someone to exercise? How can I motivate someone? My job is to motivate people to exercise to a degree and show them how to do that and inspire them to exercise. And I think one of the key things of leadership is showing, not telling. One of my biggest pet peeves is do as I say, not as I do. And if you want to be a leader and if you want to inspire greatness in others, you have to be able to show them the way and demonstrate, hey, here's how you exercise. Here's what consistency looks like. You will always get the best response from someone when you are trying to convince them of something if they are leaning in. If you were just hammering them, you need to work out. Why are you being so lazy? Why don't you make a change? That's just going to force them to fall deeper into their shell. Their ego is going to want to protect them. And so the way that you get people to come out, think of them being in like a bunker. They're in bunker mentality. In order to get someone to come out of a bunker, you've got to draw them out. You've got to entice them, right? How would you get a dog that is maybe a little bit bashful, that's hiding inside of its kennel, to come out? You would say, hey, here's some treats. Here's some things that are appealing. Here's some things that, pulls them out of that defensive position. And the same thing's going to go with fitness. If you want your wife, or you want your brother, or you want your friend, or you want someone that you really care about to make a change, you've got to first make that change. And they've got to see you making that change. They've got to see that it's possible. They've got to see how much better your life is, because if you're related to them, or you're friends with them, or you guys are essentially were at the same point at one point, they're going to see your growth. They're going to see your trajectory, and they're going to be like, wow, now it's very clear the difference between where you are and where I'm at. When you guys are in the same spot, maybe you guys are both very overweight and neither of you are making changes, misery loves company. There's not going to be any reason for them to change. They're in the comfort zone of the 5 people they're surrounded with. But if people around them start to grow, now that makes them uncomfortable. Now they're leaning in and saying, oh, I'm not really so sure about this lifestyle that I'm living. Your life seems better because how you're living now, you seem happier, you seem healthier, you can do more things. And just 6 months ago, you were where I'm at. I kind of want to hear about what it is that you're doing. For anyone who's in any kind of religion, the same thing applies. I grew up going to church, and it always drove me crazy how people would be like, "You need to go to church. You're going to go to hell." That's not going to inspire anyone to want to go to church on Sunday. But if they see how you're living your life and they're like, man, this person's got so much gratitude and their life is up and down, but their outlook on it is just so positive, right? Maybe that gets someone to lean in. But I think the biggest thing to take away from this is just leaders lead from the front. And that's actually the second point. So just to wrap up that first point is that if you want someone to get on the path, be on the path, show them the path, and that it is a safe path to walk down. And to that point, leaders lead from the front lines. In this episode, Yoda is leading from the front lines. And I think that is just the best way to demonstrate what it is that you need to do. And maybe a better way to think about this is just don't be the one that is saying, again, do as I say, not as I do, but don't be the person that is preaching this is the way. This is how you work out. It's, if someone goes to an Instagram account, the worst type of people to follow are the ones that are, shaming you and making you feel bad. And I'm really big on doing all these workouts in the helmet, filming it and showing you, hey, I can do this. You can do it too. And so I think this episode really, demonstrates this. I think Yoda is a great example of this. I think anything you see in terms of whether it's a quarterback on a football team or a business leader, like you don't want to be the person that's clocking out at 4 p.m., putting in minimal effort, and then telling people to work harder. The bar is always going to be set with the leader. So just know that if you've got a team or if you're trying to get people to exercise, like they're not going to exceed you. You've got to be in the best shape you can possibly be in, and they're going to ladder up underneath that, right? You might have a kid and you're telling them to exercise, they're not going to do anything that you're not doing. You've got to lead from the front in that. And so when you do that, that's going to inspire greatness in others. And they may surpass you. I think that's another kind of caveat to this. Luke surpasses Obi-Wan Kenobi. That is the path of the mentor, to be passed by the mentee. That's not a bad thing. That means that you've actually done a really good job. And if you're the mentee passing the mentor, don't get a big ego thinking that, oh, I've passed them. There's people that, have laid down so that you can stand on their shoulders. Um, and finally, leadership is certainty transferred. And what do I mean by this? A lot of times I like to think of leadership as sales or persuasion. You look at any movement that has happened in society, it came from a great leader. What did that great leader do? They persuaded people to change their stance, to see things from another perspective. And yesterday was MLK Day. Can think of no one better than him as being a great leader and inspiring millions of people to go against maybe what they would safely do and comfortably do. No one wants to, endure some of the things that people endured during that time. But when you're inspired by a great leader, their certainty in the cause or their certainty in the path or their certainty in, in this episode, their certainty in the importance of this mission or the path forward is what gets people to move. You look at, wartime, right? The certainty of saying, hey, this is the path that we're going to choose. This is how we're going to go and execute it. This is your role in it. If they're very certain in it, you're going to follow them. But if they're saying, hey, I think we should maybe, flank the enemy this way, or I think we should maybe run like a halfback dive. I don't know. What do you think? Should we run this marketing campaign or not? Yeah, that's not a lot of certainty. If you and I were having a conversation and I said, hey, yeah, I think you could lose maybe 5 pounds. If you train like a trooper for 30 days, maybe not. That's not transferring a lot of certainty. Versus if I say, hey, if you go and follow this and do everything to the best of your ability, I guarantee you it's the best 30 days that you're going to have. I have no doubt in my mind because I've seen hundreds of people do it. Which one are you going to follow? Right. And so at the end of the day, if you're trying to get someone to follow you, if you're trying to be a leader, if you're trying to inspire greatness in others, you've got to have certainty. Now, this gets into some of the other topics that will follow along with future episodes. But how do you get certainty? Certainty and confidence two very similar words, that is going to come from competence. Where does competence come from? Well, confidence is going to come from experience. Experience is the best confidence builder. And so, if you want to be a great leader, or you want to get others to follow you or inspire greatness in others, you need to first build that certainty and build that confidence because you've done the thing. Right. And so, really excited to dive into that topic in a few days. Experience is the best confidence builder because so many people say, "Oh, I'm not confident going to the gym." Well, yeah, you weren't confident merging onto I-5, but you learned how to do that after 30 tries, right? Repetition gives you experience that breeds confidence through the competency. So, with that, I'm going to wrap this up. If you have not signed up for the 30-day challenge, the link is down below in the description. It's completely free. You can choose your path. You can be the greatest Jedi of all time. You can build like a bounty hunter and build a back of Beskar. You can train like a trooper and turn those skinny little B1 battle droid legs into something that you're proud of. And if you've been spending too much time at Dex's Diner and you need to lose a few of those LBs, can think of no better way than training like a trooper, downloading the nutrition toolkit, using the recipe list, and following the path. And so, with that, I'm going to wrap this up. This has been CT3939. I'll catch you guys on the next Trooper Transmission.